everybody, I'm Ryan, and today we're going to talk about flex slots in red-white energy. So these are the cards that you pretty much have to play if you play this deck. And so hopefully after this video, you can make the decision to have your very own butt stock version of red-white energy. So if you play Boros Energy in Modern at all, you're pretty much locked into these 54 cards in the main deck and these 5 cards in the sideboard. But that's not what this video is about. We're going to be talking about what 6 cards then do you play in the main deck in those flex slots, and what 10 cards then do you play in the sideboard in those flex slots. Well, these are pretty much your options. So we're going to go over them. So you got to select 6 of these 10 cards for the main deck. You can play the third Static Prism. Static Prism is a 1-mana enchantment. When it enters, exile target non-land permanent opponent controls. Until this enchantment leaves the battlefield, you get 2 energy. And at the beginning of your first main phase, sacrifice this enchantment unless you pay 1 energy. This is really good because it's kind of a catch-all. It's very, very cheap, so it's really easy to work into your mana curve. The issue is it's really hard to play a lot because the deck sometimes doesn't kill very fast. So if you use a Static Prism really early, it is eventually going to come out from underneath Static Prism, and like, because we don't have enough energy, and that is an issue. So playing a few and then using them selectively is kind of where this deck is tending towards, but you could totally play the third one. You can play the third Thraben Charm. Thraben Charm is a 2-mana instant where you choose one. Thraben Charm deals damage equal to twice the number of creatures you control the target creature, or destroy target enchantment, or exile any number of target players' graveyards. So this is one of those cards that we play as a 2 of in our main deck because it's a little bit of a catch-all card. Like, it's almost never bad. Like, exiling graveyards as having main deck graveyard hate, excellent, right? Having main deck enchantment hate, excellent, especially non-static prism and enchantment hate. And it can just kill a creature to make so you can attack very easily. So you could be playing another Thraben Charm. Playing a main deck Blood Moon. Blood Moon, 3-mana enchantment. Non-basic lands are mountains. This is very good against those decks that focus on their lands or are really greedy with their mana base. You know, things like the Eldrazi Ramp deck, Amulet Titan are the 2 that pop into my head immediately. And it's like fine against a lot of decks if they don't expect it as well. Sometimes you just get to play a Blood Moon and then you win the game. It's not close. So you can play one of those in the main deck. You can play up to 4 Fable of the Mirror Breaker. Fable of the Mirror Breaker is a 3-mana saga. Its first chapter is create a 2/2 red goblin shaman creature token with whenever this token attacks, create a treasure token. Its second chapter, you may discard up to 2 cards if you do draw that many cards. And third chapter is exile the saga and return it to the battlefield transformed under your control. And transforms into Reflection of Kiki-Jiki, which is a 2/2. With 1 mana and tap it, create a token that's a copy of another target non-legendary creature you control, except it has haste. Sacrifice it at the beginning of the next end step. So since the One Ring was banned, Fable of Mirror Breaker, alongside Seasoned Pyromancer, and before Breach was banned, Rager, Captain of Eos, existed in some capacity, normally 6 or 7 between them, to replace the card advantage that the deck got from the One Ring. So up to 4 Fable and Mirror Breakers can fill that slot. Fable is really, really good because it's a threat. It is ramp if you ever get to attack with the goblin. It's card selection, which sometimes some cards it's an aggro deck. Like sometimes some cards in the deck just aren't very good, or you draw too many lands or whatever. Also, it fuels Flage. And then it flips into a must answer because if you're able to do like copying Guide of Souls or Ocelot Prides with Reflection of Kiki-Jiki or multiple reflections of Kiki-Jiki, it is just absolutely disgusting. So that's an option. You can also play Seasoned Pyromancer, number 3 and 4. It's a 3-mana 2/2. When this creature enters, discard 2 cards, then draw 2 cards. For each non-land card discarded this way, create a 1/1 red elemental creature token, and then you can pay 5 mana and exile this card from your graveyard to create 2 1/1 red elemental creature tokens. So Seasoned Pyromancer, there are 2 that are very, very stock, but you could totally play Seasoned Pyromancer 3 and 4, especially if you think Seasoned Pyromancer is a little bit better than Fable in whatever tuning that you're attempting to do. But it fills a similar role as Fable. It lets us get our card selection / advantage and applies a threat. And you can play up to 1 March of Otherworldly Light. It is a 1 white and X instant. As an additional cost to cast a spell, you may exile any other number of white spells from your hand. The spell costs 2 less to cast for each card exiled this way. And we exile target artifact, creature, or enchantment with mana value X or less. So this is a decent catch-all card. It's a removal spell. It makes it so you can answer artifacts, which Thraben Charm does not do notably, and makes you exile. It has you exile enchantments. So you're going to be selecting 6 of these 10 cards to play in the main deck. And as far as the sideboard goes, you're going to be selecting 10 of these 23 cards. You could play up to 3 Deafening Silence. Deafening Silence is a 1 mana enchantment. Each player can't cast more than 1 non-creature spell each turn. This is really good hate to like Storm or other combo decks that want to cast multiple non-creature spells. You can play up to 2 Orm's Chant. Orm's Chant's a 1 mana instant with Kicker for 1 white. Target player can't cast spells this turn. If this spell was kicked, creatures can attack this turn. This is very good against those combo decks that are either trying to kill in one massive attack, like Amulet Titan, or decks that are attempting to combo you, like again, like Ruby Storm or something like that. You play up to 1 Celestial Purge, or another Celestial Purge, excuse me, as a 2 mana instant, exile target black or red permanent. Very good catch-all removal spell. Deals with Flage, deals with Fable the Mirror Breaker, the red stuff. It's just very, very, very good, and exile removal is super important. You can play another Wrath of the Skies, so 2 white and X sorcery. You get X energy, and then you can pay any amount of energy, destroy each artifact, creature, and enchantment with mana value less than or equal to the amount of energy paid this way. A restart button is really nice. And Wrath of the Sky is also really good against Mox Opal decks that have started popping up. And if you fall behind in the mirror match or against other aggro decks, Wrath of the Sky is really powerful, especially if you're ready to transition into the Flage end game and your opponent is not. You play up to 2 Surgical Extraction. It is a Phyrexian black instant to choose target card in a graveyard other than a basic land card. Search his owner's graveyard, hand, and library for any number of cards with the same name as that card and exile them. Then that player shuffles. So Surgical Extraction is great. 0 mana graveyard hate, also being able to extract really important cards for matchups, so like again, like Flage in the mirror match or something like that, or just be able to have targeted graveyard hate. It's very, very good and can really surprise people. You can play up to 3 Blood Moon in the sideboard. Blood Moon, we've already talked about why Blood Moon is good, because it only targets some decks directly. Playing more in the sideboard is pretty smart. You can play 2 more Molten Rain. Molten Rain is a 3 mana sorcery. Destroy target land if that land was non-basic. Molten Rain deals 2 damage to that land's controller. Very good against similar decks that Blood Moon's good against, or you either have to take out important lands or the lands produce more than 1 mana, again, like Eldrazi Ramp and Amulet Titan. In a similar vein, you could be playing up to 4 Obsidian Charmon. Obsidian Charmon is a 5 mana 4/4. The spell costs 1 less for each land card your opponent controls that can produce colorless. Has flying, and when this creature enters, destroy target non-basic land an opponent controls. So this card is way better if you feel like you need a threat, like an additional threat behind your land destruction thing, but it's worse than Molten Rain in the sense that it needs your opponent to be playing a lot of colorless lands, and frankly, even against Eldrazi Ramp, they aren't playing a ton of colorless lands. You could be playing up to 1 Wear Tear, where destroy target artifact, tear, destroy target enchantment, and they confuse. It's one of those split cards. This is great artifact enchantment hate, and it's pretty premium being instant speed and so cheap. You can play up to 2 Showdown of the Scalds. Showdown of the Scalds is a 4 mana saga. Its first chapter, exile the top 4 cards of your library until the end of your next turn. You may play those cards. And second and third chapter are both whenever you cast a spell this turn, put a +1/+1 counter on target creature you control. So this is a pretty beautiful card against decks that you expect to go very, very long against. So either control decks or the mirror match, because of all the removal spells end up being like that. Because you essentially get to draw 4 cards off of 1 card, even if it's a little expensive, and then use those cards to apply on an insane amount of pressure in chapter 2 and 3. And then lastly, we could play up to 2 Ghost Vacuum, just as awesome graveyard hate. It's a 1 mana artifact. Exile target card from a graveyard, and you can pay 6 mana and tap it, sacrifice this artifact, put each creature card exiled with this artifact onto the battlefield under your control with a flying counter on it. Each of them is a 1/1 spirit in addition to other types. Activate only as a sorcery. So this is just great graveyard hate that you get to pay 1 mana for. and let it sit. And it has an awesome end game. Like if you exile a bunch of stuff with really good end of the battlefield effects, it doesn't matter that they're a 1/1 spirit. So you being able to pay 6 mana and tap it, and you get all of these things and all these end of the battlefield effects. So having an end game with your 1 mana graveyard hate is pretty cool. So you're gonna be selecting 10 of these 23 cards for your main deck. Again, 6 of these 10 cards for your main deck. I think I said main deck before I meant sideboard. And then you have your very own but stock version of Boros Energy in Modern. If you like this video, please be sure to like and subscribe. Check me out on social medias. Links are above me and in the description. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.